그대로 있어 내가 갈게 네 남자보다 100배는 사랑할게 한 걸음 뒤에서 널 지켜주는 방패 포기란 없어 I say I love you 리면서 다시 가슴이 떴어 검정색 생머리 쭉 뻗은 팔과 다리 개미처럼 잘록한 네 허리 사랑의 화살을 장전 보고만 있어도 사랑스러운 그 눈빛의 감정 아니 근데 이게 웬 반전 네 허리를 감싸는 남친을 발견 포기할까 말까라는 생각 말자 이미 네 곁으로 간다
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. A warm welcome to our afternoon Tea Talk series, brought to you by IMM Care Hub. My name is HF Kaur, and I will be the moderator for today's talk entitled Financial Security for Seniors. Please stay with us until the very end of this live podcast. We have giveaways for the lucky participants at the end of the podcast. Now, for today's topic, financial planning for seniors is essential for a life free from elderly financial problems in retirement. One of the most common financial concerns for seniors is running out of money in retirement or outliving the life of investments. Financial security is the key to healthy aging and contentment in old age. The best advice to anyone who is in their 40s or 50s is to plan for your retirement years before they sneak up upon you. Well, really, retirement, I can say from my own personal experience, retirement, it happens sooner than you think. When I was in when I was in the 40s or 50s, I thought retirement will still be way off. But wow, Before I knew it, retirement um, has crept up upon me. Now, today, this afternoon, we have two distinguished speakers, Dr. Carol Yip, CEO of HCare Group, and Dr. Navinder Kaur, medical doctor of HCare Group. These ladies will be sharing some very useful tips and financial advice for seniors. Dr. Carol Yip will start off the afternoon with a presentation, and she will be followed by Dr. Navinder. Please allow me to introduce Dr. Carol Yip.
Hi, good afternoon. Hi, I'm Carol here. And
Yeah,
thank you, Dr. Koo, for introduction. And of course, I say thank you to IMM team, Dr. Jillian and her team for inviting us to present this afternoon. And as you said it correctly, financial security for elderly, right? So it has a lot of implication when we don't have that sense of security, especially relating to old age and during retirement time. So allow me to introduce what I'm going to say, where I have Dr. Navinder is also my colleague because Managed Care is as a subsidiary of Age Care Group. So if I can have my slides now, right, I would like to present the topic and definitely welcome questions from the audience because as we go along, when we talk about areas that what are most important that we need to look after, not only just our money, but it's also about the total wellness. Please feel free to just post your question into the chat room. So definitely this is one topic that's really hot now, especially post pandemic. I would like to say now, though we still have cases going on, it has kind of highlighted a lot of areas that what are we talking about when all of us are locked down at home, right? Doesn't mean only old people, right? Even like people like me, when we're locked down, when we need help in terms of our health, it becomes so challenging. So what more than when we talk about as we get older and older, when I see my parents, same thing, they need help. But when we get help coming to our home or even in a nursing home, we need to know how much it costs, right? And is it sufficient? So let's go to the next slide. Let me just explain to you the structure of what we have done so far because Age Care Group was established almost way back in 2014, 2015. All right. Next slide, please. Yeah. So this is our vision. Our vision is very clear. We want to transform perception of aging so that all of us can look at aging as a very lifestyle like, right? And it's about continuum of care from when you're active to your end of life. And it's about choices, right? If I have this much of money, what can I do? How can I spend? If I have a little bit more, what else can I do with my money for my health, wellness, and care? So it's all about choices depending on affordability. And how we have been doing our business is through partnerships with corporate clients like developers, hospitals, and the list goes on, right? So next slide, please. So what we do with all these partners, we create product and services so that we can package it in such a way that when a client come to us, they say, look, I need some help. Can you please advise me if I want to move into a place where I can retire? Can you choose any place I can go? Some will say, how about retirement villages? Some say, how about apartments? Somewhere I can still stay in the community, but I still get some care services. So that's where I start having three companies under Aged Care Group. So Managed Care is about community care, where I have this company going into the community, which I'll explain later what we do. Of course, the other two more Aged Care, ACG Concept and ACG Care is about talking about education. That's one. ACG Care is about working with landowners and property developer building facilities or housing that we can actually make it age friendly and so that everyone who's in the space they can provide services to the residents who stays there. All right, next slide. And once we have this component stitched together, managed care will then come in. Managed care is actually a plug, I call it a plug-in, where we plug in into the community so that we can serve the active people uh, where they live, or we can also serve people who need assistance, and also end of life, right? Now, if you look at this whole ecosystem, every touch point means we need to know how much we need to spend. So because we are in the platform where we know the pricing of this, be it accommodation or be it the service, we are able to then explain to the client, okay, if you want to choose this kind of accommodation and if you want this kind of service, we can tell you this is the estimate that you have to spend. And more often, client will say, can you give me some comparison? All right, so that our team will then again go and look for similar product or similar service, and then we will explain to the client, look, these are your options. Okay, see which one is it meets your budget. Okay, next slide, please. So once we have this ecosystem, then we have to then know how do we then implement it, because at different level of stages, like here you see from active to stages of care can be 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, what is the one important component we do is about, we call it care assessment and care management. When we do that, just like your financial assessment, right, you need to know financial assessment about where are all your amount of money that you have, assess it. Then you need to know how to put a plan, and then you need to know how to manage your money. So the same concept about your care, about your health, about your wellness. It get a bit more complicated, especially for those who are in the care stage, where especially stage 3 and 4. Why? Because sometimes financial decision become difficult, become challenging, because you could have a dementia, or when you have a stroke, you cannot make decision. Now, who will help you? Then it will be your trusted loved ones, could be your spouse, could be your family members. So all these are important people in your life that you need to communicate with them. And in fact, we do get often cases where when the client come to us, right, it's actually the adult children are talking to us, no longer their parents. And again, when the adult children talk to us, right, they also will tell us, look, there's certain budget that they can afford to pay for the parents. Though the parents may have money, but the money is safe in a bank, or it could be somewhere that the children cannot get access, or they do not know. So that's why when we talk about financial security for elderly, right, we also must also think about the family, because that is also financial security for them. You see, imagine if a parent were to end up having a serious stage 4 and have to go into a place where every month they pay about 3, 4, 5,000. That is really a sense of insecurity for the children, right? Because they're afraid they don't have the money to pay for it. Yeah. So let's go down to the next slide. So now what we have done is, because we are in the business for a while, we are able to then create that network, right? The B2B, the corporates that now we have hospitals already coming on board with us. We also have insurance company and of course pension fund and all. We've been talking to them, and then we also have a team or multidisciplinary team from doctors to physiotherapy and all, and then the client. And what we do, because like we said, we actually are a facilitator, care manager. We integrate, all right, so that just like financial planning, you want to talk to an independent team where you want to have a lawyer who can advise you, looking after your interests, a financial planner, and it can be somebody who will, how about your banker? All this has to be independent, looking after your interests, right? Same goes for us. So now with this ecosystem, last time we have been doing it manually. So now we do have a digital platform that helps us. Okay, so next slide, please. And once we have this ecosystem, this is one scenario I can tell you, that sometimes when you check into a hospital, when you check out, there are many things you need. And if you can't do it, if you have nobody around you, who should you ask for help, right? So that's where we come in, right? We come in and help you. But when we come in, we also want to know, how much do you have? If you don't have insurance claim to make, you cannot claim through your insurance policy. So we also need to know, because it's exactly what we're experiencing now. In fact, like I said, we have hospitals now working with us. Then the doctor said, look, I want my patient to check out now. I don't want her to stay too long. Right? Sometimes staying in the hospital too long is not good for the patient. So when we go in, right, we actually talk to the doctor. The doctor will say, look, these are the things that the patient will need. And for those patients that has a family member around, we will talk to the family member. For those who don't have, then we just have to make the best choices for the patient. Yeah. So these are the real life situation that I can explain to you, and that's where Dr. Navinder will share with you also, because she is part of our team to do all this care assessment and management. As a doctor also, she also face a lot of challenges, right? Not just that you want to advise the client in terms of medical, perspective. The doctor also, like Dr. Navinda, also must think at the back of our mind, can the patient afford it if I were to say, let's go to a rehab hospital and get your recovery there? Because there are rehab hospital out there, and we do know the prices because they are actually our partner. Okay, so let's go down to the next slide. So now with the digital platform we have, it makes our work a bit easier now, because when everything is on the platform, it makes us easier to communicate. Then the client can make a booking, can make payment a bit easier. But that doesn't mean that there's no human touch. In fact, with the digital platform, then my team will then spend more time talking to the client. It's almost saying that 70% is people, communication, making them feel comfortable that they are being taken care by a team of capable people, personnels. And also the 30% of this digital platform is just to enable us to execute the services better. And this platform itself also have features where the care manager can talk to the doctor of the patient. So now, all these, like I said, are just tools. But as we use the tool to serve the client, right, definitely the client has to pay for all these services, right? So now that's why one of our biggest intention now is, now that we have a platform, we have been in business for a while, our next stage is about how do we then educate our client to say, look, you need to start putting your money aside somewhere, or you need to tell your family members, even now you don't have a problem, you don't have a challenge, you are not in a hospital, you need to start talking to your family members, say, in case anything happened to me, this is where you take the money and pay for my care. Yeah. So, but of course, some people will say, if I tell whoever I tell my bank information, I have a worry now. What if they take my money away, without me knowing it? So that's why now I'm going to show you some of the financial structure we have been dealing with and sharing with our client, and we're also working in terms of implementing. All right. So next slide. This is I call it setting up a care trust deed. It's not a unit trust fund, it's a trust. It's not a will. A will take place when you pass away. A trust deed is to take care of you while you are still alive, but you cannot make financial decision. It's just that you can set up a trust deed for your child education, means you put money aside for your children education. So it's the same concept. All right, next slide, please. Now, this is where a bit of that timeline, like I show you, you can create a trust deed for yourself anytime. You don't have to wait until you're sick. It's best to do it before you have a problem with your health, because if you have a health that justify or kind of help affect your financial decision making, then you cannot create a trust deed for yourself. So when we talk about setting up a trust deed, we also talk about advanced care planning, meaning plan for your advanced care, which just now I've explained all those situations. All right. So this is what I meant by the trust deed for long-term care. Okay, next slide, please. And in this whole process, the important component is about having a doctor, the medical team that you could be a family doctor, it could be somebody that will know your health condition, qualified doctor. Part of this, why? Because it's important that we need to know, and we need to know what are your current condition. So in the whole trust deed set up, right, you can have a lawyer, right? Definitely you need a lawyer. But what you need now is a team that knows your health condition and discuss with you. And this is where you bring in your family member and discuss with you again. Like say, if anything happened to you or how do you want to be cared for? All right. And all this will be documented properly. Once you document this properly, right, then you will know, right, Then you start working out, okay, these are the money that I need to set aside under using a trust deed document. All right. Okay, next question, please. And in this setup of trust deed, you need to appoint a guardian, and guardian can be your spouse, can be your children, adult children who's capable. For those who are not married, right, then you have to either appoint your siblings or could be your friend, that is very close to you, who knows exactly what you want. And we can then become the care administrator, meaning that when there's a trigger event, right, if let's say just like me, if suddenly Carol goes into the hospital, all right, then it's a trigger event. Then the guardian can be my good friend and say, look, let's inform managed care that there's a trigger event now. And then we will then start to contact the lawyer, then say, okay, what has Carol said in her trust deed, how she want to be cared for under the care plan that she's created for herself. Now, getting somebody to manage the money in the trust deed is an option. Like for me, I've done mine. I don't have a wealth manager to do my management of my money because I already put my money into certain investment or in property or in a bank. So I don't need to appoint that wealth management company. All right, so that is an option. Okay, next slide. So once we have this, right, then it becomes very easy because everything will then in proper order. So that is where this is the timeline. Just now I show you the timeline, and now I show you the process, how it works. Okay, now next slide. And again, all of us actually have different assets, different source of money that we keep, either be it in unit trust or you buy shares, and all this can be listed. And every asset, every channel of money you have, right, you can actually tell what to do. Like for instance, for myself, I will tell my guardian, say that if I have run out all my cash, say last resort is use my EPF money. Even before that, if I have a house, please sell house number 1 first, right? Use that money and pay for my nursing home. So you actually can prioritize, how you want to use your money. You don't need to use everything. Let's say if you have quite a bit of money, you can just say, I want to allocate, say, about 1 million or less. Because then you can talk to care management, like us, say, roughly, if I want to stay in a nursing home for a couple of years, how much do you think I need? And because you already have a platform, we know how much nursing home will charge, right? We can give you those estimates. So that's how we come together to make your planning a bit more easier. All right. Okay. Next slide, please. And I will then get Dr. Navinder now to share with you a perspective as a medical doctor. All right. So thank you for the time for presentation, for me to present. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Carol. Thank you for a very short, sweet, and direct presentation. I think, it has triggered a lot of interest, but I will keep all the Q&A until after Dr. Navinder has presented materials. I do have quite a lot of questions. I'm sure participants here this afternoon will also have a lot of questions, but let's hold our horses and allow me then to introduce Dr. Navinder. Can we have the slide on? Yep, she's a medical doctor. Okay, Dr. Navin, over to you now.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. Thank you to the crew for the introduction. Okay. I think I will jump straight into it. Carmen, if you can play the slides from Carol's presentation, from Carol's deck. So yes, as Carol mentioned, I'm the medical doctor for managed care under Aged Care Group. And what we try to do is, besides our care management and case assessment, we try to give people the knowledge on the options they have. So whether it's for the health or whether for setting up a trust deed and all, I think the most important thing is a lot of people out there are not fully aware what they can do or what is the best decisions. And also when we can plan for everything, whether it's now interstates are open, you're going to travel and planning for that travel and all. We have to plan also ahead for long-term care. Like one day you're a very healthy individual, the next day you can't predict if anything may go wrong or when you will need care. And also it's something that everybody should sit down and think about before anything happens itself. So planning ahead. All right. Okay. Next slide, please. Right. Okay, so basically, like what Carol mentioned, setting up a trust deed and all. So why is it important? Like what, everyone, you have a lot of people who approach you and say like even agencies or even insurance and all, like, set up a trust and all, but they don't really clearly emphasize enough what's the reason behind this. So, like I mentioned earlier, it's actually to be prepared for a rainy day. Okay, so when medical issues, when you're well and all, there are no problems that come up. But when you're suddenly faced with something unpredictable, that's when you need this trust deed. All right. When, like example, I actually a few days ago had encountered with this person where his father, very healthy individual, runs marathons when pre-COVID days, and he just had a bit of discomfort of the chest. 2 weeks was okay, and before you know it, they went for a CT angio, and he has 7 blockages. He went for triple bypass. So never would he have imagined that he would need, such a healthy individual. Even now, he's recovering. I think it's been 3 months since surgery, and he's actually getting back into his active lifestyle. So the whole point of it is to be prepared. It's like lucky his children were there to support him, and also everything was done as needed. But there's some people who are not that fortunate to have funds at their disposal. So at least when you set up a care trust, you're really planning for the future. You discuss it with your family, and then you realize, okay, do I have enough money to last? Do I have enough money to, if anything were to happen? If I don't, okay, then what is the next step? Like Carol said, whether it's your last. So all that goes into planning, because when something like that happens, it's not that time to realize, okay, let's go to the bank. How much is there? How much is your house valued at? It's not you don't have that peace of mind. So it's better to always plan ahead. All right, next slide, please. Okay, so always when you plan ahead, like I'm a person who likes organizing and planning, so you always can make very wise preferred decisions instead of when you are faced with difficulty and rash and rushed decision. It's never very clear. So, like the individual can state clearly, okay, what do I want if something happens to me? If I'm put example, if you have a stroke and you won't be able to tell your family or your doctors what's your next step, how actively you want rehab, how, so you can clearly state your wishes. It's all written down, and also, okay, if in this case I'm faced with something like a stroke, okay, I want active rehab, I want to get fully better. How much it costs, it doesn't matter. Or if someone come and said, no, I've lived a good life, and if something were to happen to me, leave me as I am. So it's always very good to be very sound of your decisions. That's something I find personally, especially when it comes to like patients. It's not easy when you don't know what your family would want, and then at the same time the family be asking the doctor, so doctor, what do you recommend? What do you think we should do? It's for us, we know what we learn, what's the best, but it's not easy to make a decision for somebody. All right. And then, as I said, is always be prepared for the unpredictable. Then, together, sitting down, getting opinions from your doctors, your physicians, from our team, and all, you evaluate the options you have. And from there, then you come, okay, so you've made your choices and you stated it clearly. So, from there, then when you require, even in the future, if things go well and you don't need, then it's just there, sitting there, and all. But otherwise, when you do, so it's very clear what is the decisions that have been made. All right. So yeah, next slide, please. So basically, when it comes to levels of care, it always depends on what happens to you and how we categorize it. So we're always like, even like, let's say for the elderly, right, the seniors, we always categorize them in 3 different ways. So we have the active seniors who go on living their lives. We have the ones who are semi-dependent, who can do things by themselves but may need supervision, and those who are fully dependent. So that's how normally we'll see how much care they would need. So like those who are very active, they're okay, but they just need to make sure they are safe. And then for the other two, you need to see how much supervision and assistance they need. So from here, the domains that normally we see is their social engagement, their financial affordability, their capabilities, their psychological well-being, their behaviors, and also their vulnerability. So like if really they have a lot of underlying conditions, you know that they might have a lot of complications in time to come. So, like what we say, what we do is we coordinate and we find the best outcome for our clients and our patients. But always there's a big issue of affordability because most of the time, like I think Carol mentioned earlier as well, it's the children that come and say, okay, look, I think my parent, we need someone to stay in with them, or we need some respite care, or we need, but this is our budget. So that becomes the issue because even for a person who has undergone a stroke and you want to undergo rehab, rehab is not cheap. Even if I were to give you the cheapest option, it's not very affordable. So it's always like saying already you have planned, so you don't put the situation where okay, we don't know what shall we do now. You don't make decisions based on what they need, but you make decision on what you can afford. So sometimes it's a bit sad to see, but it's then again that individual and their family lah what they can do. Right. So basically, what you see here, the four levels here. So basic level is basically like what I said, an active individual. You just want to make sure they're not at any risk, and others they can maintain fine on their own. And then you have low, intermediate, and high. So normally when level once you put it at level 3 or 4, you definitely need higher attention. So whether the family can be there or they get someone to stay in, and then if not, then whether the options of sending to a nursing facility, or nowadays there are a lot of like respite centers, and also the options that you may have. But then again, you see, as much as we try to paint a beautiful picture, but always when someone comes and inquire, the first question will be, how much does it cost? Am I right, Dr. Ko? That's always the first concern when anyone wants to find out for something. So, like we say, the services we can have, whether they're at home, we have home care, and then we coordinate whether for the care concierge for them to go to and fro appointments, whether it's nursing homes, nursing care, whether even like then as you age, you'll be on more medication, the management of that medication and the care. So a lot of this is comes back to like what the cost will be and how we set up a trust. At least then from there you don't have to worry, you've made your decisions, this is what I want done, this is the rehabilitation I need. So it's not only like that means the money is there, but the decisions of your care is there. All right, can I have next slide please? So here I have a case example, all right, on my next slide. So a person who's on level 4, what do you call this, for the care management. So this 72-year-old female lady, both lower limbs are paralyzed, so she can't use her lower limbs. She has incontinence. She is basically bedbound and able to sit and move upper body, but not able to stand. Also has underlying hypertension and hyperlipidemia, and with the fact that she can't get up, so she's have pressure sore. So based on this, of course, it's level 4, so the highest level, you need someone there all the time. And what do you call it? So what we normally do is our care manager does the assessment, list down the problems like these medical conditions you see, and will list down which domains will the person need assistance. So definitely in the whole physical needing help, transferring and all that will be there. But the other thing is you realize when someone is in this kind of condition, their social interaction also reduces from a person who could go out for a walk and talk to their friends and all. So now they're basically either homebound or then whether they're going to a nursing facility and all. So it's their psychological aspect also gets affected. So with all this, it's to give the best to the patient, that they know what their options are, what their family knows they're well taken care of and all. So all this comes back to what is the plan for them. So what are the services that we recommend and what are the services that can be done. Right? Okay, so I think, so that's basically the case example. We can go to the next slide. So when we say like, okay, what managed care works we do is like care management and care assessment to see what is your needs and what's our recommendations. So basically, like as we mentioned earlier, it's a multidisciplinary team. So we are patient-centered, team-based. So whatever we do in our discussions and all, we always get everyone's input. So then, of course, we have Carol with us who tells us the financial aspect and how what options we could give, how we can make it easier for our clients and all. So it's basically a whole ecosystem we have, whether it's not only for your medical health, but it's also every other aspect to make sure like, okay, the family understands what's going on. There are no other issues beyond that. They afford to say, okay, no, we can't pay anymore, you know. So all that is important to consider. So we do our assessment, we coordinate and plan. So we give you options. We always try and give more options so that the family can consider instead of suggesting one service. And then from there, the family and the client make the choice and let us know what they want, and then we help coordinate that. Right? So I've got everybody with me so far. Everyone understands how we do it. Okay, can you go to the next slide, please? Okay, so basically the case management itself is basically optimizing care provision. So the whole idea of we want basically the best for our client, the best for our patient. So yeah, if we have to coordinate and all, we can't always find okay what is the easiest or the to put it the cheapest option, because we actually just, if it's possible, we want to see what the patient needs and from there give the best options. So example, I'll give you like if a patient with stroke, like what Carol mentioned now, we have hospitals that refer cases to us because these individuals have been in the hospital for some time like after a stroke, and they are bedbound, but their nursing care in the hospital is it's pretty much there's no acute management for them. And but then again, they cannot be sent home just like that because they may require a feeding tube, they've got a urine catheter, they are bedbound, they need 2 hourly turning to prevent sores. So there are a lot of continuation of care that's needed, which at home there may not be someone there 24 hours to settle it, even if they do get a caregiver at home, but the caregiver needs to be trained. So from there, it's then when we try and say, okay, the case is referred to us, and we say, all right, we'll try and do the best. We recommend based on what the doctor has said the discharge plan is, and we recommend say, okay, for our opinion, we actually think that this person will benefit from rehab. So we have rehabilitation hospitals with us that will take in, but of course, these hospitals, because the amount of intensive therapy that's there and all, it's not the how say you pay per therapy session. So the prices are of course on the higher side. But with that, it's sometimes very sad to see like the client, the family knows that the rehab is very important, but at the same time, like why is it so much, and okay, isn't there a cheaper option? So when cheaper option, you don't have as much therapy, so you do not have that golden period of recovery, you bypass it. So if someone is to already put aside money and say, look, if anything were to happen to me, I want rehabilitation and whatever it costs, and if everybody sits down and liquidify the funds and all, it will be much easier instead of making a decision when something has happened. So yeah, so with that, I find that means it's very important to plan ahead, especially for long-term care. Like especially those with comorbids, you identify the risk. You're at a higher risk of getting. Of course, you live an active lifestyle and prevent it. But at least if something were to happen, you are prepared. So yeah, that's I think my take-home message. So I think this is my last slide. So can you go next slide, please? Okay, yeah. So basically, that's about the case management and my medical opinion based on setting up a trust. So yes, Dr. Ku, pass it back to you.
Thank you, Dr. Navin. Very interesting, very absorbing, very interesting presentation by the two ladies. I'm sure there are lots of questions I have. Let's see. Let's give preference to our participants. Anyone who has got a question, yeah, please leave your questions on the comment box. Um, the backroom people will pick up your questions and post it live, so that the either one of the lady doctors can. Okay, that's bum, 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 bum. Okay, whilst waiting for some more, okay, that's the first one from Patricia Lim. What is the minimum amount to set up a trust? It's everything boils down to money. I think it is that we have to be mindful of that. Okay, what is the minimum amount to set up a trust? I think that's who would like to take that, Dr. Carol or Dr. Navin?
Let me take that.
Okay.
Actually, the trust, right, really is not about minimum amount, like I explained just now. A trust deed is just like a document just like a will, right? It's a document to write down whatever assets you have, you want to give away to who when you pass away. The trust deed, it's the same. Like I remember earlier, I said it's not a trust fund. A trust fund is where you give money to a fund manager to manage for you. Yeah, there could be minimal amount. If you choose not to have a wealth management company to manage your money, there's no minimum amount. It's all about your money. No, if let's say you have only 50,000 in a fixed deposit, you just put it there. When anything happen to me, if I need long-term care, please take this 50,000 from my bank account and take care of me. That's it. So that's it. There's no such thing as minimum amount to set up the trust. But to set up a trust, you definitely need to pay a lawyer to write the trust deed for you, just like you pay a lawyer to write a will. All right, depending on how complicated you want to make your trust deed to be. Like some people write a very long will, so it costs a bit more, right? So that is just a lawyer fee. And after that is a document. Now, like for me, because I don't have siblings, so I am getting my friend to become my guardian. Naturally, I want my friend to feel that she's not doing things for free, lah, correct? Not because like what Dr. Navin said, when I need help, it's a lot of work, then my friend end up spending a lot of money on petrol, spending a lot of money on telephone calls. So then in the trust deed, I'll say, okay, it's a service my friend's going to do for me. So I give her a fee from my bank account, say, if I have the, no matter how much I have, I will state there. And what other costs? It could be because, again, I don't have siblings, my parents are really aged, right, so old. I say, I want to put my trust deed in a place where anything happens, just like a safe deposit box. Go there and take my document out. That could be some expenses that you need to pay. So does that explain about this question? What is the minimum amount to set up a trust? Yeah. Of course, you ask, how about care management fees? How much do I pay care managers? Like I said, it only takes place when there's a trigger event. It's just like when it takes place when you need to pay a doctor to take care of you. Yeah.
Okay, I think Patricia has responded. She said yes, thanks. Any more questions? Whilst waiting for, there's one. Let's see what's this all about. How old or young should family members discuss with their elderly parents about what they wish? It is a sensitive topic to many. Very true. Very true. These are things that maybe in the Asian culture we don't speak about that openly, frankly, but I think it is something that must be addressed. Who would like to take Samantha Lee's question?
Okay, I'll take this question.
Okay,
Right.
good.
I actually agree with you. It's something very sensitive. Even personally, when you ask, it's like, why are you waiting for me to fall sick or something
Yes.
like that? But it is, honestly, it's very hard. But I find it's always the way you approach it. So, as we know, no one knows our family better than us. Instead of a stranger, even not a doctor, but coming and asking. So it's always a family. You have to see the right time, right place, right situation, and sit with your family and have a conversation. Don't make it something like, okay, I want you to go do your trust tomorrow. So please, be prepared. Let's go to the lawyer's office. No, you can't do it. Like it's always a build up to it. So nowadays, especially like the best thing to use now is the pandemic. Things are very unpredictable.
Mm.
A lot of things are going on. How would we prepare? What would your, if you use like, that means use someone as a reference, like, and the kids, how would you like things? It's always another story, another person
Yeah. Okay, I think
put
Dr.
them.
Navin is a bit lagging.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dr.
The data
Navin, you're
line.
lagging on your side. Let me then continue with Dr. Navin. All right. Um, I totally understand this. Uh, okay. Is it all right for me to share?
Yeah, I think Dr.
Okay.
Carol, you,
Yeah.
you
Because
because
I've been,
yeah,
yeah, she's lagging, right?
yeah,
Okay,
Because
like
I've
I
go
been,
am
ahead.
back, I think. Okay.
sorry. No.
All right.
Can I share a
Okay.
bit,
Sorry.
Dr.
So
Navin? Yeah.
yeah. So I think it's
Mm,
always, yeah. Sure. My connection went interrupted,
okay.
but yeah. Sure.
Yeah, a bit. I have been in the financial industry for a while, right? That is actually before I started HK Group. It is very difficult, especially elder people. So that's why I mentioned about our digital platform, and we work very closely with hospitals, and we also work closely with the doctors. So if your father or mother have a condition and they do have doctors that they go to, right? I think that's another point that the family member, by right, of course, family should accompany the mother, father to go and see the doctor, right? That you build that relationship. So once you're there, right, then in fact, now the doctors that we work with, right, we are also educating the doctor now. I said, doctors, you have to start telling your patient that, hey, time for you to think a bit about how you should, plan for your care. And all. So once the father or mother hear from the doctor, chances are then they are more open to discuss. Yeah, so that is another way to do it. Yeah. Okay.
Dr. Carol, can I just before we go to Patricia's follow-up question, uh,
Sure.
can I just add on to what you have said, and
Sure.
also to Samantha Lee's question? I know this is a very sensitive matter, to discuss long-term care, But I think I'm a retiree. I'm okay. I'm 70 years old, and I've got two kids. And my wife and I, we have decided some time back that we will be very frank with the children and even plan and tell them what to do in the event of either one of us falling long term ill. I think we need to discuss as the seniors in the family, as the elders in the family. We really don't want the children to be left in the lurch when something happens and you're not there or you're unable to help them. Yeah. So this is just my input. Okay. Coming back to Patricia Lim's question, what will happen to the trust fund? This is a trust fund.
Okay.
If I
Uh,
pass away without any next of kin.
all right. Like for me, again, I think Patricia, I can understand a question. So what I did was in my trust deed, the instruction is if I pass away, right? What I say is that whatever money I that I have behind, right, I will give away to because I have got brothers and got sisters, because my mom and parents they have. I say give to them, and I will mention each of them what they'll get. Then the last one will be charity. So I name a charity organization that I said give away. So means that it is a good thing to do that. You know why? Because at least one of the reason why I keep advocating, please set up a trust deed, no matter how much or how little money you have. Because why? The last thing you want is you leave your money in a bank unclaimed, right? I'm sure Dr. Koo, right? Unclaimed money is
Yeah,
billions. Why? Because
absolutely.
people don't tell another family member that they actually have this money there and they have this property there. And even my neighborhood, I live in SS2, I can see there's a few houses abandoned. Guess what? Because the owner passed away.
Right.
So you may have property, but end up it get abandoned because nobody knows you have a house that you can sell actually. And with the money, you just give instructions, say that sell the house, use the money, maybe give it to my favorite niece or give it to a charity organization. It's all about you. It's all about your wishes. That is the most important thing about this, the trustee. Yeah.
Okay, I think we may just have enough time for the last two questions. Anyone?
Mhm.
Last two questions. Yeah. Um, whilst waiting for questions to come in, I got one question. Basically, the person who draws up the will, all right, maybe a lawyer or one of those professional will writing organizations. Uh, are they the best people to set up the
The
trust?
trust?
Yeah. So that you
Of
can
course.
coordinate the will and the trust and the terms of the trust.
Can be done, Dato Koo, can be done. All right. I mean, there's a lot of trust management company out there, and there are banks who also have trust management company and all this. Can be done, but it's
Yeah.
just that you must understand what's the function of this trust management team,
Ah,
because I deal with them quite a bit too. And we understand their job function because for them, they only take care of the money in your trust that you set up for this
That's a
trust.
trust fund lah.
The trust fund or the
Yeah,
trust management
yeah,
company,
trust.
right?
Okay.
Because the confusion always say, what is this trust fund? Is it a unit trust fund? That's why the difficulty is educating the whole meaning of trust, because the word is being used in many situations like trust fund, or insurance trust, But what is a trust deed? But the thing is that trust company actually what they do is you tell me what to pay, I pay. But
Mm,
really, the amount of money paid, is this justifiable? Just like what Dr. Navi said. Is it according to your wishes? Is it according to the level of care you need? Because sometimes you may pay a certain expenses that it doesn't serve your needs at all.
understand.
That's the missing element. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, there's one question from Jillian Lian. Can other family members challenge to claim the fund upon the passing of the person?
Now this one again, I'm not a lawyer. I think it's best that you always consult the lawyer to do this. That's why I always say talk to a lawyer to do a trust deed. I would think that because a lot of us has very personal, like personal wishes, or sometimes we want to give away to somebody that we don't want our family to know.
Mm,
So talk to the lawyer and let the lawyer understand your situation, and then let this person lawyer to advise. Because in Malaysia we do have a trust deed act, so
mm.
if you do according to the act, then definitely it will be a better arrangement, right? Because the lawyer will know the best for you.
Okay, good. Thank you. One last question before we call it a day, because there are other things your giveaway program and other things to follow that we must not forget. Any final question? Anyone? Okay, then let me give me the privilege of asking a final question, which is a very quick question. At which point in life or at what age should we be talking to you?
Now,
Any age.
it doesn't matter how old you
Any
are.
age. Yeah.
Why? Because
That's why I thought
yeah,
I told you a very simple question. Now, yes,
yeah.
yes,
In fact, this morning I was talking to a group of parents who have special needs adults kids. Yeah, and they
yeah,
were worried about themselves
yeah,
and
yeah,
for the kid. So anytime, anyone can have an accident. Tomorrow you'll be
yeah,
bedridden.
exactly.
Yeah, so there's no age barring, put it this way, whatever we are saying.
Wonderful, wonderful. That's,
Yeah.
I thought so as well, but I just thought I wanted to ask
No, but
Just wanted to hear it from
it's a
us.
good question, Dr. Khoo. It is a good
so that
question.
all of us who hears this will probably uh, trigger our thinking and start thinking. Really, I mean,
Hmm.
you don't want to wait until the time when you can't even think properly to start talking to you guys, because that will
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
pointless, I think, at that point, right?
But I
So
can say this, once you have, like for me, lah, I'm speaking from my personal experience because I'm not young, I'm also in my 50s, right? But once I've done my trust set up, right, that was like a whole feeling of the burden has just been lifted.
right,
Because why? I have already tell my friend exactly what I want. I'm not going to trouble my parents. My parents don't
yeah,
have to worry about it. In fact, they actually signed all the trustee document because it was delivered to my house. So my parents actually signed all those documents because they are one of the beneficiary. Because the money in my trust, I also said, take care of my parents also, right? So because the trust is set up in such a way, it can do it for your family. It's not just for yourself. It could be
yeah,
for your
yeah,
wife, your husband, your children, your grandchildren. It's all about the health care of the family. And once I've done that, right, my whole feeling was like free. Anything can happen to me tomorrow. I don't have worry anymore. And
absolutely.
I know I have appointed care management care from managed care. I know Dr. Nami for sure will take care of me. Right. That's how it works. Yeah.
Good,
Thank you.
wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Carol, and thank you, Dr. Navin. I think we move on to the next part of the program. What is that now? I think we need to, for your giveaways, who will handle this? The giveaways, the questions, and also your giveaway.
Yeah, we have a giveaway question which we'll post it up. Actually, this giveaway is my book, which I've written based on my research study about financial psychology. It's about choose the type of emotion that will make a person spend money? Is it jealousy, happy, guilt, loneliness, or all the above? If any of the first 10 who answer this question correct, you'll get my it's a book. It's called Money Savvy, and so I'm going to give away, and it's in the form of ebook. So the winner, what we'll do is we will send to you, all right, via an email, the ebook. Yeah. Another giveaway is that you can have a session with Dr. Navin. All right. You can call it a discussion. It's not a consultation. A discussion about your health, a discussion about your wishes. So just give her a call and then call our office, and then Dr. Navin can talk to you, right? So just to have a chit chat and see how it goes. Yeah.
Right,
For all
Carol, we
you
have a
know,
lot
you
of
might
people
find
answering
something
already.
like, oh yeah, so I have Sophie behind, I have also Jillian and team checking the answers. Yeah.
We have a lot of on the comments box. There are lots and lots of answers,
Like
and
Mm-hmm.
they're
most of
all
them
the
say
same
all of the
answer.
above.
Yeah, I can see all very
All of the
smart
above.
people, all very smart. They know what's
So
the answer.
please don't
So
be the first 10 or whatever. I leave it to the IMM care hub people and managed
Yes.
care people to handle that.
yeah.
So before any last words from Dr. Navin, Dr. Carol, before
Um,
I go, yeah, go ahead.
Let me go first. Yeah, Dr. Navin. Yeah.
Sure.
Basically, I must thank IMM, Jillian team, and Dr. Crew for giving us this chance to explain to everybody the importance of setting up a trust for yourself, for your family. All right, because we don't want to have such challenges when we face, when we're getting older and older lah, with your money and your health. All right. So I will like to say thank you, big thank you to the audience also. Yeah, Dr. Navin.
All right, for me, so again, a very big thank you for having us. Like we say, we aim and focus to pass on knowledge. Like a lot of people may not be aware and all. So we hope that what we have said, dwells in your head, and we hopefully like you be in touch or take actions that you need to be prepared for the unpredictable, and peace of mind, lah, like what Carol said. So yeah, thank you very much for having us.
Thank you, Dr. Carol and Dr. Navin. I I have a couple of things to say at the end now. Now that it's my turn, I represent TAMA, which is the Third Age Media Association. This association was formed in 2016 and is registered with the Registrar of Societies. Third age here denotes a post middle age when most people retire and are ready to enjoy getting out of the daily grind and full employment, like people like me. It is the Third Age Media Association, we call TAMA, is a non-profit organization. The association engages a variety of media channels like publications, conferences, forums, webinars to disseminate information relevant to seniors. And Tama also publishes a magazine called The Senior, and this is magazine is distributed at selected high traffic bookstores like Kinokuniya, in KLCC, etc. The physical and digital version of the magazine is promoted for sales and subscription in collaboration with its partners, iElder.asia. So, and finally, the Dharma meets the elderly community's needs for knowing where to find information of interest or travel. So, thank you very much. Those are my concluding remarks, and thank you once again to the two doctors, Dr. Carol and Dr. Malvin. So, I will now hand the time over back to IMM Care Hub for their closing, whatever they need to do.
Hi everyone. Thank you so much for your participation. I guess we have all the winners ready. Shall I make the announcement or Dr. Carol?
Sure. Please make the announcement. Yes, thank you.
Okay. So I guess we will select only the top 10. Okay. So first of all, we have C. Wai Ming. Sorry, I won't address you, Miss or Mister, because I wouldn't know whether this is the correct gender or not. okay, and Ailun, the second person. We have Lau Tony. Yes. We have Samantha Lee. We have Eng Hock Lim. We have Chua Siu En and Cheong Kwai Lan. We have Esther Chin, Gary Chow, and Michelle Wong. Congratulations, everyone.
Yes.
So you received
Congratulations.
the, yes,
Yeah, sorry.
carry on. Yeah.
Go ahead, Jillian. Sorry about it.
Yeah, so I think you will receive an email for this ebook very soon from Managed Care.
Yeah. And remember to leave your email to Jillian and team. Yeah, definitely we'll send to you. Thank you very much.
Yes, we will contact them very soon.
Yeah.
So I think last but not least, we will be sharing our next session. So next session is coming on the 3rd of November. It's called Relief Stress and Hobby. So for those of you who have always been very stressful or don't know what kind of hobby, to adopt, so maybe, it's time for you to come over and listen from our speakers. Yeah, so mark the date on 3rd of November. We'll see you at 3 p.m. sharp. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good evening. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye. Bye.
Bye.